Whether it is a bacteria with a superpower we can't quite figure out, an insect from a cave that's been sealed off for 5 million years, or just a creature whose entire existence baffles scientists everywhere, this list is full of real creatures that are incredibly unique and amazing. Let's dive right into the top 10 mysterious creatures that likely came from space. Starting off this list, in our number 10 spot we have tardigrades. What in the world are these things? We know that they're little 8-legged microorganisms, we know that they're most often found in mossy trees, and we also know that they basically have superpowers considering how they can live without water, they can withstand temperatures as extreme as minus 200 degrees Celsius all the way up to 150 degrees Celsius. They can even survive in outer space. This is exactly why people are speculating where they are even from, as some people think that maybe outer space is where they came from. There are of course others who believe that they are from this Earth, but even with the most elaborate gene sequencing, scientists aren't exactly able to figure out what they are or even what phylum they belong to. They are pretty much an anomaly here on Earth, and while they are super interesting, they're also super mysterious. What do you guys think? Some sort of extraterrestrial organism, or perhaps just an earthly phenomena? Are they worms? Are they insects? Are they crustaceans? Or are they aliens? Who knows? In our number 9 spot today we have the radiation-proof bacteria. In 2002, Russian astrobiologists hypothesized that a bacteria here on Earth may have actually evolved on Mars. Deinococcus radiodurans is the most tough bacteria on Earth. It can withstand even the most extreme conditions such as cold, dehydration, vacuum, and acid, but the craziest part is that it is virtually radiation-proof. These little microbes can withstand several thousand times the amount of radiation a human can withstand, as well as more radiation than any other bacteria on Earth. You can even find this bacteria on the inside of a nuclear reactor. Scientists did an experiment to see how quickly this bacteria could build up a stronger radiation resistance by zapping it with enough radiation to kill 99.9% of it, and then leaving that remaining 0.01% to repopulate before zapping it again and repeating the process. It was concluded that it would have taken E. coli thousands and thousands of rounds to build up to the same resistance that this hardy bacteria did in only 44 rounds. With this experiment, and based on the dose of radiation they gave each bacteria, it would take millions and millions of years to get even close to the amount of radiation they gave this bacteria in one cycle. Since Earth just doesn't carry that amount of radiation, it has led some scientists to speculate that since Mars is virtually unprotected and receives extremely high amounts of radiation, these bacteria may have evolved on Mars and gained their resistance in just a few 100,000 years, and then they may have been flung off of Mars by an asteroid and then brought to Earth on meteorites. It's certainly just a hypothesis at this point, but really, how else can we explain this super random, super-powered bacteria that is unlike anything else on our Earth? In our number 8 spot today we have the king of the cave. So I've spoken about the Moval cave before on this channel because it is insanely interesting, but in case you were unfamiliar, this cave is located in Romania, just a few kilometers from the coast of the Black Sea, and it was first discovered in 1986. This cave has been isolated from the outside world for millions of years, and basically everything that goes on inside of it is different than what we are used to on the outside. The air inside is poisonous, which has led to the life inside of the cave developing in completely different ways than their outside counterparts, and of the 48 species found in the cave, 35 of them were endemic to this cave alone. This is all to say all of the creatures in this cave truly deserve a spot on this list, but today we are talking about just one, and that is one of the largest ones that they found inside of the cave yet. Cryptops speleorix, which translates to king of the cave, and it grows to 52 millimeters or 2 inches in length. The creatures in this cave are the only in the world to rely on this type of chemosynthesis, and not just this, but because they have been living in total darkness for millions of years, most of the creatures inside have no sight and also don't have any color. The king of the cave isn't found anywhere else on Earth, and based on DNA analysis, scientists have revealed that this centipede is morphologically and genetically different, which suggests that it's been evolving from its closest relative for millions of years into an entirely different species that is better adapted to the cave life it lived for millions of years. I know a cave is not outer space, but with how different life inside of it is compared to out here, it might as well be. In our number 7 spot today, we have slime mold. No, we are not talking about looking up slime tutorials on YouTube, we are talking about this strangely intelligent slime mold, more particularly asking, how is that stuff so smart? Basically, they're single-celled organisms, but they, and by they I mean many individual slime mold cells, can all fuse themselves together into one big mass that's capable of thinking? I put a question mark on that because I'm not sure if it's the right word, but I don't know what else you would call it. These masses can solve mazes, they can make risk versus reward decisions, and there's some evidence that suggests that slime mold might just be able to keep track of time. I have absolutely zero idea what tests could reveal that mold has some sort of internal clock, but it is said to exist. The reason this is so intriguing and captivating to scientists is because all of this is happening with no brain present. Not even a single brain cell. Glad to know I'm not the only one. However the slime mold is able to do this, it means that it has evolved in a way that is completely different from humans, which is a bewitching idea that leaves us both fascinated and kinda confused. How did they do this? What can this teach us about intelligence? And honestly, how does this even happen? If there's no brain, what is responsible for the ability to make these kinds of decisions? In our number 6 spot today, we have Cyanobacteria. For around 2 decades, Dr. Richard Hoover has been studying meteorites that were found in Antarctica, and in 2011 he claimed that he and his team had found evidence of ancient bacteria from colonies that thrived on comets, moons, and other planets. The astrobiologist said that they were able to make this discovery through the use of the most advanced microscanning technology in the entire world. Dr. Hoover sliced open these meteorites and discovered what they called the remains of cyanobacteria, also known as blue-green algae. This type of algae is said to have a unique ability and the ability to thrive even in some of the harshest conditions, which is necessary when talking about surviving the extreme environment some of the other planets hold, as well as just space in general. Dr. Hoover said that while some of the bacteria he had found was similar to those on Earth, he said that some of the others were completely alien. He said, quote, "Neither I nor other experts who have seen the evidence have any idea what these creatures might be. I believe these findings indicate that life is not restricted to Earth, but it is broadly distributed, even outside of our solar system." In our number 5 spot today, we have the leaf sheep. Neither leaf nor sheep, these sea slugs are often found off of the coasts of Japan, Indonesia, and the Philippines, and they are just the cutest things. They honestly look like a cartoon character. They have these little sheep-like faces with little blushing cheeks and this insane plumage all over their bodies that makes it look like the sweetest little succulent that you could ever hope for. They are super small and grow to be just 5 millimeters or 0.2 inches, and despite their totally cute alien appearance, they have one really interesting feature about them that gives them another similarity to the leaves that they look so much like. These sea slugs are able to photosynthesize through kleptoplasty. This means that as they eat algae, sometimes they are able to retain the chloroplasts, which allows them to create their own energy. They're not like amazing at doing this, so it's not their usual practice, but when necessary, some species are able to live for months just off of this alone, which is pretty neat. In our number 4 spot today, we have Siphonophores. So there are these things called Siphonophores that exist in the ocean, and they appear to be a single multicellular organism, but they are actually an entire colony of polyps and medusoids that are collectively known as a zooid. Zooids are multicellular units that develop from one single fertilized egg, and they combine to create functional colonies like the creature known as the flying spaghetti monster, or the crazy one that scientists found a few years ago that happened to be the longest Siphonophore they've ever found, and it was a whopping 154 feet long. Yep, just a huge long piece of a bunch of different little creatures all working together. I don't know why it freaks me out so much. Maybe because it's a bunch of creatures that all seem as though they share a brain, maybe it's something I just can't comprehend. Regardless of whatever it is, the deep sea is just as fascinating as it is terrifying, and these guys are no exception. Each zooid has a distinct job in their colony. Some catch the prey, some digest that prey, some are there for reproduction, which is done asexually, some are there to just swim and keep the colony upright. All in all, these creatures really make us question what it means to be an individual. In our number 3 spot today, we have the vent crab. These white crabs are actually endemic to hydrothermal vents, and they were first described in 1980. The crabs in this family are usually blind and abundant. In fact, their numbers are so vast that scientists often use the clusters of them to help find the location of hydrothermal vents. The eyes of vent crabs change throughout their life, which helps them adapt to their environment. Young vent crabs usually have eyes that would be comparable to their shallow water companions, but upon metamorphosis their eyes degenerate and become naked retinas. Hydrothermal vents produce light in infrared wavelengths, and this change in the vent crab's eyes actually allows them to better see this light, although it causes them to not be able to see most other things. It's like a similar concept to night vision goggles, so basically vent crabs have night vision. Kinda. It is so interesting to see and learn about how these deep sea creatures adapt to their individual environments and circumstances. Vent crabs often eat tiny organisms and bacteria, which is another reason that they thrive near these vents. The vent crabs have clearly evolved over many years to fit their extreme environment, and it's so interesting to see how these adaptations make them so extremely different from their open sea counterparts. In our number 2 spot today, we have the platypus. Okay. They're mammals, but they lay eggs. They have amazing electroreception capabilities that allows them to detect electronic pulses underwater to help them hunt. They have webbed feet, a bill like a duck, and a tail like a beaver. And they're also venomous? They have spurs on their rear ankles that are actually lethal. The platypus is an exceptionally interesting creature. When they're not going undercover as a secret agent, I'm looking at you, Perry, they are spending 12 hours a day underwater as they search for food. They're also equipped with 2 layers of fur that allows for both insulation as well as waterproofing, which helps them on their hunt to stay both buoyant as well as dry. One really strange and mysterious thing about the platypus is that when put under UV light, they have a strange glow to them in a blue-green color. To be honest, no one is really sure why this happens. Just another mystery to add to the pile, I guess. In our number 1 spot today, we have the axolotl. Looking more like a Pokemon than anything, axolotls are also known as walking fish, but despite this, they're actually amphibians. One thing that is super unique to them is that unlike most other amphibians, they reach adulthood without going through a metamorphosis. This means that rather than becoming land animals, they keep their gills and they stay living in the water. The external gills that many salamanders have are usually lost in other species through this metamorphosis, but these guys keep theirs, and they're lined with filaments, and this combination is what gives them such a unique look. Axolotls are often used in scientific research because they have the amazing ability to regenerate their own limbs. Unfortunately, however, axolotls are critically endangered in the wild. In 2010, they were near extinction due to water pollution, and the issue was only exacerbated by the induction of the invasive species tilapia and perch. Axolotls hunt for prey using their keen sense of smell and will quickly snap at their potential meal, and then will suck the food into their stomach by using vacuum force. It's an interesting way to end that list. Alright guys, that's been our video for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!